One time I did a quest, the Crucible of Carnage, and I got a weapon for it, the oversized oblique ogre obliterator. That's right, the 4 O's of the apocalypse. I then got inspired by that weapon, yes that weapon, of all the weapons for whatever reason, and because of that I wrote a program to generate crude World of Warcraft weapon tooltips. Maybe it's the 4 O's, maybe it's the 2 adjectives, or 3, or the fact that it's just 4 unusual words all coming together to make its name. I'm not really sure, I just really love the name of that weapon. Nearly a decade later I rewrote that crude program and made it into a bot on both Facebook and Twitter, and I thought you might find that story at least a tad bit interesting. Today I wanted to try something a little bit different, which is to tell you the story I have from World of Warcraft along with what it would eventually inspire, the bots. Included with this, I'll tell you about some quite unusual and funny or just interesting weapons it has generated. As well as I'll tell you an ongoing tale those bots together have told and continue to tell about the apparently wild, fulfilled, and most importantly, bloodied and brutal life of Nat Pagle. Anyway, what's up Wavelings and welcome back to a brand new video. Before I get into that, I wanted to say I got a sponsor for today's video. Sponsors like this will help keep content like this and my channel around and easy for you to enjoy. Thanks to Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video. In the epic world of Talaria, you can collect, train, and upgrade a team of your own heroes. It's free to play and it's available for both mobile and PC. To make your team, you can use shards to summon champions from many different factions. They even have a troglodyte just like my cat's nickname. My favorite champion I play with is Torture Helm. It has an ability which deals a ton of damage based on his own maximum health, which you can boost with artifact equipment. With these champions, you can challenge yourself to your limits in ongoing tournaments. Compete against the entire raid community while fighting the Spider's Den, Ice Golem's Peak, the Almighty Fire Knight, or the Notorious Dragon. Now in Raid, patch 1.15 is coming in May, and with it you will be able to compete in the brand new arena tournament. Earn points according to your tier and win awesome rewards in the local and global tournament. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click the links to join, and if you are a new player, you will get 100,000 silver plus 1 free champion, Yolton, who is epic quality.
That's really good, by the way.
Yolton is great and can really help you out, especially early on in your adventure. And it's free. These rewards are only available for the next 30 days, so if this sounds good to you, act soon and collect your champion as soon as you get in-game from your inbox here. In late 2010, a curious expansion to World of Warcraft named Cataclysm was released, and it was one that was hated for a while, but eventually would become treasured when compared alongside the likes of Warlords of Draenor and Battle for Azeroth. It would come to be the second expansion I would manage to reach max level in, 85, and it would also happen to be the expansion in which an area and quest chain would be released, the Crucible of Carnage. The Crucible of Carnage is an area in Twilight Highlands with a quest chain that shares its name with the area. My friends at the time, who I spent basically all of my free time with, playing World of Warcraft, told me about this quest chain and I thought it sounded super fun. So we headed off to challenge ourselves in completing it. I didn't know about a reward for doing it prior to starting the quest chain, I just looked forward to completing the quest alongside my friends working together toward a common goal. This was a lot more normal back in that time, to play with friends and enjoy it solely for the experience and not because you have some list of dailies or other grinds to keep up with. Anyway, to somewhat of a surprise to me, once I got to the final quest in the chain, I saw the weapon which would eventually become my next main hand weapon, and also that managed to make itself one of the most memorable items for me to acquire in the game. That is the oversized oblique ogre obliterator. Oh, and I mained a Fury Warrior at the time if you're wondering why I said main hand when it clearly states two-handed. After acquiring that weapon, I have no idea why, but this specific item was one that inspired me to create a very basic program which would allow me to put in custom data for a weapon or item that I come up with, and it would create a very crude tooltip from that information. You see, a few years prior, I started trying to figure out how to code at the excellent coding age of 11 or so. I started off with a couple pretty bad languages which would surely set me off on a path of having bad coding habits for several years, which were VB6 and Visual Basic. And don't worry, I'm not going to get into detail about what that is, just know it let you drag button in box and type thing and other thing happen.
Hooray!
Anyway, after coming out of the closet to my dad as a programmer, yes, for some reason my baby brain thought I should hide the fact that I'm programming from my dad, who literally was a programmer himself. I upgraded to the big boy language of C# in which I would still write bad code, but hey, at least the language is better. I wrote a couple of things here and there, and young me thought it would be a great idea to release executables for people to download from my website at the time, so of course I let people download them. One I described as the
night name generator.
Making sure to clarify that
It's just a pre-release version.
This is a video which 14-year-old Aerawave made on an old YouTube channel by a different name, and yes, I definitely had the license to use that image, probably. I didn't. I was 14, I had no idea what I was doing, okay? I even made a spam bot with no bad intentions that I made for World of Warcraft, and I'm amazed how much I didn't realize this stuff was a bad idea at the time. Anyway, a couple years later, shortly after the release of Cataclysm, I got to work on an idea I thought would be fun to push my skill limitations and would also create some cool outcomes. I wrote a program that would, as I suggested earlier, allow me to put in custom data for a weapon or item I could come up with, and it would create a very crude tooltip from that information, specifically rendering it in HTML, which is what is used by web browsers for basically everything you see on the internet. While I don't have the original application or code anymore, what you see on screen is an imitation I made of it for this video. You can see the tooltip sorta kinda looks similar to World of Warcraft, but not quite. But I was happy with the work I had done. Moving forward about 8 years to 2019, and given I am approximately 497 years old, I am still using Facebook in this time. On Facebook, I had been following more and more bots. Not like spam accounts, but rather computers running on a set schedule to generate random memes or other things and post about it on Facebook. By this point, I've been working as a software engineer for 3 years now and am writing software that isn't really crude like when I was younger. I decided to take a crack at making a new version of that weapon tooltip program now, except do so to make a bot which would randomly generate weapons instead of taking custom input. I mean, I could still give it custom input, but my goal was to make randomly generated weapons. Anyway, I spent some time making a program that could do that, and I eventually got it posting on Twitter every 30 minutes. And that's still happening to this day. If you'd like to check the description, there will be a link to the Twitter page for the bot. There's also a link to my Twitter, and my bot is about to pass me in followers, so if you would follow me to help prevent my own creation from defeating me, that would be really swell. Anyway, for a couple of months I kinda just left it alone to do its thing. There's a group on Facebook I'm a part of called the Bot Appreciation Society, which is most of why I use Facebook at this point, where its members share posts appreciating either robots or Facebook bots like the ones I mentioned above. In this group, someone prompted the idea of making an RPG weapons bot. I quickly pointed out that I had a bot which basically did this but with specifically Warcraft and on Twitter. After getting roasted a bit for associating with the superior platform that is Twitter, I was recommended by several to bring the bot over to Facebook. So I did that, and to my surprise, over a couple of days, the page quickly grew to over 600 followers. One thing that bothered me at this point though is that none of the code driving this bot was open source, basically meaning that no one could get the code I wrote and use it to make their own bots if they desired. Which may sound like a bad idea to some, but open source is one of the most important things to do with code in my opinion, so I wanted to fix this. In February, I had a week free to me, so I decided to basically throw away that entire week into overhauling the bot into smaller, more modular parts and open sourcing the entire thing. Along the way, I added some more features to it, like being able to generate corrupted items, as well as a new way of coming up with names. Never can we forget the inspiring weapon that is Shocking Shock, that for some reason specializes in fighting Krogs in Battle for Azeroth despite being a level 85 item. Also, you can catch it on fire, I guess, and use it to cook. Did somebody say Ice Rage Blessed Barbs of the Lifeseeker? Yeah, there's nothing special about it besides that name, I guess. Or the legendary dagger that is Rin's Shank of the Father of the Hosen. Rest in peace. I'd at least recommend using that over the Anduin, as it seems a bit more powerful. But this one lets you turn your mount into a phoenix. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that one. The bot seems to really love Anduin. Also, the Blessed Bone that for some reason does an ungodly amount of damage over 50 seconds until letting out even more of an ungodly amount of damage in waves afterwards. Or Crossbow of the White Dragon. Or, people also seem to really appreciate the items that have very basic names for some reason, such as the Quality Bow. Or if describing that its quality is too much, then just the Crossbow. There's also the abusive Fear, which allows you to scare the shit out of your battle pets so it levels but only gains 1 level in hopes that you won't beat the pet again. Of course, we all know the infamous Blade of Grom Hellscream, which lets you do 128,000 damage over 35 seconds with a 40-minute cooldown. People also seem to appreciate the more realistic ones like Blade of the Heavy Heart. Okay, this one's more realistic if you ignore the equip effect. Or like the Mastery's Bilejaw, which might make sense if they weaponized fishing equipment, but hey, it's a fishing pole with underwater breathing. Neat. Havoc Smell. Geez, this one has a lot to it, but it's all about that Havoc Smell. Shadow Sage's Crossbow. Cool. It doesn't do any damage and it does nothing and sells for 1 copper. Hunters would still roll on it though, honestly. Sticking to Shadow, let's make this joke for the second time because it seems it never gets old. Did somebody say Shadow Hatred Stained Blade of the Power Seeker? Arcane Fury Engraved Barb of the Thunder Seeker? Shadow Hatred Wrapped Hook of the Arcane Seeker? Energy Hatred Infused Razor of the Ice Seeker? Okay, I'll stop. I just wanted to. Water Fury Engraved Barbs of the Light Seeker? Okay, for real, I'm done now. The Unholy Nightmare that is Varian Hellscream apparently owns a Spellhammer of Geoknife, whatever that means, and apparently Anduin is back. Oh, there's his last name, Rin. Why Void Elves? Why Karazhan? One of the names the bot uses is Lefty. Ironically, the bot has almost exclusively put lefty on items which are main-handed only, which makes sense if you assume main hand means whatever your primary hand is, but World of Warcraft just assumes everyone is right-handed. Fortunately for the current state of the game, lefty Barb of Tuskarr gets it right. Also 69 herbalism. Nice! And then we arrive at the Mechanohosen Skull. Let's unpack this one. So we have the name, Mechanohosen Skull. Hosens are from Pandaria, for one. Then we have the use effect to see any Tuskarr sneaking around in Argus. Tuskarr are from Wrath of the Lich King. Argus is from Legion. Regardless of the context, I'm not sure why a Tuskarr would be on Argus. I totally get why they might be sneaking if they were there though. And lastly, level 94. We are in Draenor now, I guess. 4 different expansions in one item. Cool. Old John. Let's not talk about Old John. The last thing I'd like to talk about before leaving the generated items is a tale. A tale told by the bot of the well-known Nat Pagle. Before starting his journey as a world-renowned fisherman, an impressive prescient, or unfortunately even eventually an alcoholic, it seems Nat Pagle had a randomly generated life that no one could have known he had. Let's follow along his time leveling, shall we? Starting off at level 8, we see his first choice of weapon is a sword, Nat Pagle Soft Knuckles, which is light forged in... well, I'm not sure what. He seems to later head in a rogue direction with a level 12 dagger named after himself, Nat Pagle Heart of Pride. This seems to be where he picked up his fishing skill to begin with. This one's steel forged. I guess the rogue gig didn't work out for him, as he seemed to try out the paladin or warrior path at level 22, with the smoldering hawk talons of Nat. This time, safety guaranteed. I'm thinking paladin. Not sure what the story is behind his level 25 weapon, Nat Pagle Black Claw's soul-rending skull. I guess he had a foe named Black Claw who he must have dealt with swiftly, because I've never heard of him. We're back to a one-handed sword with this one, but a damn broken one at that. Just a passive 14k health per 9-second regen, or 1.5k health per second. He's also messing about in the Sunwell apparently now. Then at level 40 he picks up Herbalism, with his trusty Breath of the Nature. Then we're back to a paladin at level 46 with the Titan-forged mythic weapon that is Blade of Fighting. This time bearing his now famous quote, "We spill blood for just cause." Maybe that just cause is over his fight with Black Claw. Okay, at this point he's just trolling, using his razor blade as a two-handed sword apparently at level 48. I seriously suspect something is still going on with Black Claw given the flavor states it is the soul-running mist of rage. Then in preparation for the Burning Crusade, apparently he learned how to throw his jaw, and it is trophy. And has the ability to see Blood Elves in Shadowmoon Valley. Only a level later at 55 we have Pagle Shredder, a sword. That's not a sword icon bot. A sword apparently, one stained in something, maybe fire? It can hurl fireballs apparently, so maybe that's it. You can see here is where he has been honing his fishing skills, now at 98. At level 62, apparently he's had enough and he's now on his last resort. An epic corrupted two-handed sword which grants an insane amount of critical strike for the level. The blade is dimensional, it appears to be fading from this plane of existence. Oh, and more fishing now. Nat then proceeded to immediately upgrade his jaw from a thrown weapon into a staff for some reason and named it after Jaina. Proudmoore Nat's scything jaw is apparently filled with the spirit of Nyalotha, whatever that means. Maybe the corruption from his last resort got the better of him. Immediately after that he follows with a shoddy gun, which increases his fishing skill further. He tried all kinds of fishing methods in his time. This gun is apparently infused with something demonic given it's able to make Nat go into a fel-crazed rage, doing crazy damage. Mounting Sylvanas Pagle. That didn't take long and they already tied the knot. He gets a grip at level 81, then somehow manages to turn the marriage polyamorous with Varian as well, who proceeds to take Nat's name. If that unholy union wasn't enough, now Grom is getting in there and has a warhammer to commemorate it. Dear Elune. Fortunately, that's the last of the cursed shipping, because we're finally onto his real legacy. Pagle Bile of the Water is his first fishing pole at level 98. Apparently his wife isn't feeling too keen in her career anymore, and he really keeps that on his mind. Then he decides to name another weapon after himself, and referencing his name twice in the name because why not? Nat Pagle, Nat's bludgeoning skull, is his level 99 weapon of choice. To cap it all off, we have Nat Pagle Shank, a weapon which apparently has Light Forge repeated on it 13 times. Perhaps a callback to his first weapon at level 8. And thus is the ever-expanding tale of Nat Pagle. And with that, dear viewers, I bid you farewell.
Sorry, I don't know how to help with that. Here are other things.
Anyway, if you're still around at this point, what did you think of the video? I'm really keen to get feedback on this video because I'd like to make more similar to this. So let me know what you think about it. If you disliked the video, there's a button for that, but if you liked it, why not head down below to leave a like on the video? Then comment something letting me know what you thought about it. Even if you just want to tell me the video is stupid, that's cool. I'd really appreciate any feedback a lot. Anyway, only 2.5% of people watching my videos are subscribed. That might include you, and it might not. If you loved what you saw here today, or if you watch my videos and haven't yet subscribed, make sure to go ahead and get subscribed and hit that bell to stay notified of future uploads. It's free and you can unsubscribe anytime if you decide you don't like what I make anymore. No questions asked. All of this helps the channel out a lot, and I really can't thank you enough for it. Anyway, that all said, thank you all so very much. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you next time.